Good morning. I am Dr. NSENGA Burton, and I am just tickled pink, delighted to be here with Dr. Glenda Glover, 8th President of Tennessee State University and the International President and Chief Executive Officer of Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Welcome, Dr. Glover.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
It's well. All is well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, let's just jump right into this because you are a busy person. Okay, so tell me the great things that are happening at Tennessee State University.
We're having a good time at TSU. Some of the great things. Well, we were recovering from COVID and still in the middle of it, but we decided to make the best of it. We said never waste a crisis. So we started a COVID-19 Academy. So we're assisting the community and others in finding employment and doing other things to cope with COVID and get through the COVID pandemic. But this has been a great year for TSU. We have record funds and research that we have garnered through the federal government and other sources. We've increased our corporate partners. We're just having a good time.
Excellent, excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about those corporate partnerships? Like what are some of the newer ones that you now have?
With Apple, we have Everyone Can Code, Everyone Can Create. Apple, big partnership to train HBCUs, other HBCUs, on how to code and create apps. It's not the real hardcore coding like COBOL and all that. It's more app development type coding. It's a great collaboration. We're enjoying it.
Okay, that's important. So in terms of COVID, like what was your response? Like when you first had to shut down or close down last spring and all of that, like how did you come up with your strategy and your plan?
Well, COVID forced all of us, the HBCUs and non-HBCUs, just to rethink everything. So we ended up asking the students to leave because we didn't have the benefit of having them stay away for 2 weeks and come back late after spring break. We had already had our spring break. And so as soon as they came back, we had to go to spring break. We had to get them back to their homes. And that was quite a feat. But we managed to get everybody out there and had to switch to online learning in 48 hours. So fortunately, we already had a shell set up for each class. So we just dropped the course in. Well, I'm oversimplifying it, but had a lot of groundwork already laid so that it was not as difficult. But it still was a huge adjustment for the students and for the faculty.
Yeah. So can you explain that to our viewers? Like what kind of adjustments relative to when you're in person class and taking in-person classes and teaching and have students on the yard versus when they're at home and trying to create community from, their respective households?
Yes. Well, the students, as you know, our students, many of them live in the virtual world anyway. They're on social media all day long. And so it wasn't so much of an adjustment to them academically. The adjustment was making sure they could get back to their base of studying in that type of environment. So we had to ensure that their learning, the academic part was not compromised in any way. Because that's one of the number one reasons that you attend an HBCU is for quality education. And there are other reasons you go to HBCUs to see people like you and to enjoy all the aspects of it. But the number one reason is to get a quality education. So we had to make sure that wasn't compromised in any manner throughout all of this. The students were always first to make sure that nothing happened that would cause them any issues either now or later. So we did go to an option of pass fail for the students, and so you had the option of, if you already had an A in the course, of course you don't want to go pass fail. You want to keep that A. But for many, we allowed them to do the pass fail so that would keep them on par.
Okay. And what about students who didn't have access that they needed at home? What provisions or in what ways were you able to support them or help them through the challenge?
But that was a major challenge because many of the students did not have devices. Most of them had smartphones, but as you know, a smartphone will only take you so far. You're in higher education, so you know a smartphone will only take you so far. It would only, you can do this, you can Zoom, yes, and go to the classes, but when it came to doing the papers or any other kind of modeling, the phone wouldn't work. So we had to go to some type of device, whether it was a laptop or an iPad. It required, so our alumni stepped in and really assisted a lot. It pays to have great alumni because
Yes.
in a time of need, they won't say no. So they really came to our rescue and helped. We had the different sororities and fraternities bringing food over to the students, the ones that stayed there. Some didn't have a home to go to, and some had other obligations they couldn't leave then. So that was everybody working together. That spirit of collaboration was absolutely outstanding. And then we had the corporate partners who came to our rescue and helped us. We formed a partnership with the Predators, the hockey league. So they were they were assistant. I sit on the board of Pinnacle Bank, and so they in Nashville was National Bank, and they came to our rescue. The others who just contributed, because the issues were, one, the students didn't have the devices to go beyond a certain step, and then secondly, some live in areas where there was no connectivity. So there was no connectivity. So we to get around those issues. And then
Okay.
for closing, so it was hard on that time point. But for that reason, it was much harder because there was no, in a given day, you could run to the library and do something, but with the library being closed, we just make sure we had to get devices in everybody's hands and work around that until we're able to do that. But we managed the semester, and the students did just as well as they did when we were in a traditional format.
In traditional format, yes. So in terms of the faculty training, were they already trained to move into online learning versus, as Mr. Jackson says, face-to-face teaching, or what I call in-person teaching?
Actually, some were and some weren't. But we were fortunate that we had a person on our campus who had worked with the Tennessee higher education system, and they had trained and had set up the other universities, had converted them to online, and she was able to step in with her team, and then the others. Everybody was willing. It was the willingness of spirit of working together was so outstanding. So we got all the faculty trained. Everything had to be done in 48 hours, and so we did.
Yes, yes. So you have been, well, let me ask you this first. You are an alum of the school of which you are president, university. Tell me what that's like. What does it feel like versus, when you were there before and now as president? Like, did you ever foresee yourself being the president of your university, of your alma mater?
Well, it wasn't my objective at that time, to be president of the university, but I really didn't. But, you have to just stay on your God path because you never know where you're being led. If your steps are ordered, you just have to go with the ordering. And I saw myself, I want to be, all through school, I want to just be in a big corporation, wanting to be CEO of a big corporation, making sure the shareholders were taken care of, and the revenues and expenses were in line, and the assets were growing. That was my objective, being in the CPA world. When I got the call to come back to Tennessee State to apply, even it was a thought process that I went through. So it was an honor to even be considered and to be selected. It was just an amazement to come back home. I tell people there's no greater calling than when God calls you back home. So.
Yes. So, I mean, you have all these degrees, Ph.D, J.D, CPA. You're one of two women or people in the entire country, I think, women. Black women who have that designation, right? You have the trifecta.
That one works at TSU. There's two of them at TSU.
Oh, what? Okay. So y'all make them like that. You make them like that. Got you. So, how did that come about? Like, because when I was reading your bio, I was just, okay, like, when does she sleep? Like, it's like you've never slept, but you have like two adult children. So I know that you've raised a family, you have a family, and all those wonderful things. But
and I have big grandchildren.
I'm sorry?
The grandchildren, throw those in.
Oh, yes, and the grandchildren. We can't forget them. But, how did you decide to like go from, one degree to the next? You're Clark Atlanta. You're also at George Washington in DC. You have a law degree from Georgetown University. Like, what was that process like for you? How did you end up accumulating all those degrees?
Well, a lot of it was part-time. I was working the whole time, except for undergrad and then the master's degree program, because they were done together. But after that, it was working full-time and then going to school at night. decided to go to law school. After thinking through the daytime and going through all the competition of day, I decided on night so that I could continue working during the daytime. I was in the field of tax and investments at the company, and I didn't want to give that up. So I went to night and then the doctorate at night. So it was always a work education, work study. I really learned the real meaning of work study.
Okay, so you're president of TSU. Tell me how all of that educational training, world experience, life experience has impacted or influenced the ways in which you lead your alma mater as president.
It helps me make decisions. I use accounting and business all the time because if your organization is a business, you use business principles, and it's a full circle moment for me because I went to Tennessee State University. I traveled around, had different positions, and then you come back home. That is really full circle. And so, and I use the law degree because everything is based on the law. Everything is based on rules, regulations, and laws. So I use everything in almost all the decisions that are made. Because having been an auditor for so long, I understand that most audits are not failed because of something that someone consciously did. It's by not reading the rules and the fine print to know what you can't charge this account, those kinds of things. And so I use all the learning. And I especially use what I got at TSU. I got my habits, my study habits, and just the desire to learn and excel came from TSU.
So I know that you are a huge champion of HBCUs. Can you tell our viewers the benefit? Like, why should people still be considering HBCUs? There are 5,000 universities in the United States. Why should people still be considering HBCUs?
Well, that's almost like asking, why do you need air? Why do you drink water? Because you need that to survive. Without HBCUs, there's no country. Because the contributions HBCUs have made to America, and we continue to make. We produce the greatest graduates, the greatest people, and you start with almost nothing. You have improper funding, you have discrimination in many aspects of funding, but you fight through that. So as I said before, it's almost the wrong question to ask. The question is, how do you take so little? University has so little and produce so much. I mean, that's the question. How can you be the model for other universities and other businesses that start from scratch and fight against all the odds and still succeed? I mean, that's the model that we should be imparting to the other universities around the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. So can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing, even in the sorority, around this issue of making sure that our HBCUs stay present and are sustainable, and that we have them around for a long period of time?
Right. As an HBCU president, and then becoming president of Alpha Kappa Alpha, the two are related because one of the initiatives for Alpha Kappa Alpha, the program targets, one of the program targets is to ensure that HBCUs remain viable. We support HBCUs, we market HBCUs. In fact, we're the only organization I know of that raised $1 million in one day for 2 years in a row. We did our first year, then the second year. We just have $1 million in one day for HBCUs for sustainability. It's for endowments. It's not just to give different checks to universities, but to set up an endowment, because endowments represent sustainability. And HBCUs need sustainability. They need endowments to survive. That's how you do your scholarship and keep students coming. So we wanted to make sure that we played a real part in this. So there are 106 HBCUs. Of those, 96 are 4-year accredited HBCUs. So we broke up in threes. And so the first year we give $50,000 to. We want to give $100,000 to each one. So we'll do 50 now to each to 1/3 of them. Then we'll do the other 50 later. Then we'll do the second 1/3. We were supposed to do it at our convention this year, but because of COVID, we weren't able to do it. But we're doing it next month. Well, this month now, doing HBCU month. We're giving the funds out on a weekly basis to different universities. And so that'll be another 33. 32. The final third will come next year. So we want to make sure that we set up the endowments at every university has an Alpha Kappa Alpha endowment. That's our signature on the campus. And so I think that helps to get students, keep students in HBCUs. We want to say no, but we don't want us to close on our watch. Of course, COVID has come in and take us in a different direction, but we're still fighting, we're still struggling, we're still alive. And of course, the CARES Act funding helped a lot. I mean, it didn't go all the way, but it really did help to keep things going.
So, speaking of HBCUs and outstanding people, Kamala Harris has made history as the first African American woman. She's also Indian, South Asian woman to be nominated as a vice presidential candidate in a U.S. presidential race. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, what role have HBCUs played in producing people like Kamala Harris?
It's a great day. It's a great moment for HBCUs. It's a very perfect moment for us because it shows what you can impart into a student and comes out. I mean, she came out of the HBCU world and she doesn't run away from it. She's proud to be a Howard University graduate. She's proud to recognize HBCU. You know, in her acceptance speech, she gave a shout out to all the brothers and sisters from HBCUs. I thought that was phenomenal, because it shows what HBCUs are really doing, who we're really producing. You know, I look at TSU, we produce some of the greatest people of all time. We got Oprah Winfrey and Too Tall Jones, who was the first person to get drafted, and first round draft pick. The cell phone. I'm trying to think of his name. I had it took my time create a cell phone. It laid the foundation for the cell phone.
Yes.
Just Dr. Levi Watkins, who did the heart defibrillator, who inserted in and shocks the heart back to life. So it's amazing some of the great individuals that have come from HBCUs. You see how partial I was. I only went to Tennessee State.
Yes.
So there are many stories like that.
Yes. Highlight your alumni. That's what you're supposed to do. So when we talk about supporting HBCUs financially, are there strategies that you have put into place to encourage people to donate and to give back, so that in addition to what some of the sororities and fraternities are doing, and some of the other organizations like UNCF and Thurgood Marshall College Fund, who are like really committed to financially supporting HBCUs, are there strategies that you have that encourage people or make them, when they're like on the bubble, write the check?
Well, through the sorority and through our nonprofit arm, the Education Advancement Foundation, we do, but we're all nonprofit, but through our 501c3 organization, that's where we encourage the contribution to be made, and so we can easily submit those back out. But aside from the $1 million in one day effort that we do every year, we do so many scholarships and community grants, but everybody's not in college, but there are some who are doing things in the community. We give grants to them. We try to, the students apply for scholarships, and we do a lot to try to find other scholarships. Even at TSU, we try to find scholarships for students from various places. And one of the best places is the internet, but many times students give up. They just say, well, everybody's going to apply for that. But so what if they do? You're one that everybody's going to apply. You never know. Maybe your day, maybe the time for them to select you. So we do a lot to try to push them in a direction of having access to apply for different scholarships and grants.
Okay, fantastic. So can you tell us a little bit about the academic programs have exploded under your administration at Tennessee State University, but can you tell us about one or two of them that I know you're proud of all of them, but that you are especially proud of?
You're right, because they'll get me if I just say I'm not proud of all of them. So we have, I think all the programs are just great. I'll just start with, since we are a land grant institution, I started with agriculture. We have just a phenomenal relationship with the USDA, Department of Agriculture. In fact, we get more research funding than any other HBCU. We topped some of the others, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. So, and especially when the Secretary of Agriculture came to TSU campus last year. It's just been, it's a great relationship with ag. And it's not based on who's in power, whether it's a Republican or Democrat in power. We've had a steady relationship with them over the years, and so that's great. Engineering school, can't say enough about it. It's just as the students get out, they get good jobs, and they just excel. And of course, I'm partial to our business because I came out of a business school. So our business
Mm-hmm.
schools, they get high salary, high job offers, and they someone called about an internship. They said it didn't have, it doesn't pay, but it gives you experience. Our students are so spoiled. It's hard to place someone when it don't pay. So then we started an executive MBA program, and that has
Mm-hmm.
really taken off. And we're exposed to so many programs within the college of business. And of course, I teach in the College of Business. I teach a class in law in the College of Business. So it's then, and so I can't, without the College of Liberal Arts. I recall one day before I got to Tennessee State, and because computer science, I mentioned computer science, they get great salaries too. We all made presentations to a company. We wanted to hear from engineering, business, and computer science. So all three of us made presentations. And when they finished, the dean of liberal arts asked could she have a moment to say something. And they said, we're not really looking for liberal arts majors. She said, well, I know that, but I want to say something. So she said, well, you listen to Dr. Glover, you listen to others, and you see all this. But let me just say one thing. That fancy PowerPoint that she just did and all those big words she threw in there had not been for a liberal arts professor. People don't even do that. She said, so I don't want y'all to overlook liberal arts at all. So we don't.
Yes, yes,
And then,
yes.
then of course, health
Liberal arts.
sciences. That's right. Then you got the health
Yes.
sciences, we're looking at expand that even some more right now. Because I can't announce because we haven't been approved on all levels. Well, looking at some expansions there. So it's just in education, you can't do enough for teachers, and I can't say
Mm-hmm.
enough about teachers because just because we need so many teachers, they're so overlooked, and so hope I leave anybody out because if so, they're gonna and the sciences, of course, they'll say you called every school except mine.
Yeah, well, academia, we're territorial, so we want our shine. So
Mhm.
that's how that works. Can you talk to me a little bit about um, so you talked about Kamala Harris. You talked about some of your illustrious alums. Can you talk to me a little bit about because I know you're a Georgetown alum. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were around the passing of John Thompson, the
Oh,
legendary coach from the Georgetown Hoyas, and what he meant to Black people.
well, I had a chance to talk to him on a couple of occasions. And when I was in law school, I went to a basketball game. And he said, aren't you a law student? And I said, yes. And he said, what are you doing at this basketball game? You should be at home studying. I said, you're probably correct, but I wasn't going to miss this basketball game for anything. So he was just a remarkable guy. He put academics first. If a basketball player didn't have the great grades, he never tried to make them say, look, change his grades. He just said, listen, you made your bed, whatever the old folks used to say, you made your bed lying. So
Hmm.
he's just an all around individual. Just love talking to him and meeting him. It's a great loss for our nation.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think people were floored. We've just been, with Chadwick Boseman, John Thompson. I mean, like great things are happening to our community or in our community, despite all that we're facing. But, just losing these kind of giants, these icons, John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, Reverend Lowry, all these folks.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been heavy. It's been heavy. So, last question. If somebody has a question, you might want to send it. And Zara Buck Woodfield says, our Supreme Basilisk Sora, Dr. Glover, and sent you some heart emojis. Um,
Good, I
um,
accept.
yes, yes, yes. But can you tell us, like, we want to know, like, because we are dynamic Black women. There are a lot of dynamic Black women out here doing it, right? But how are you managing being president of Tennessee State University and the illustrious Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated? How do you do it all? Like, what's your day like? Like, what time did you get up this morning?
It's almost old news now, because it's been going on for 6 years. Well, 4 years as vice president, and now in 2 years already as president. Um, you have good teams that work with you. And I start with AKA the corporate. We have a corporate office that's just unparalleled. We have an outstanding executive director, a deputy executive director. They're just so, and then all the membership department, everything is just runs on core. And so without that, I couldn't function. If I had to be in the corporate office every day making decisions, then that would be quite a challenge. But it's almost like I'm the face and they do all the work. So at Tennessee State, it's different. Of course, you have to have a good team around you, the one that you trust and two can get the job done. Maybe not in order, but so I've been fortunate in that we have a good team. We have good teams that get the job. Your CFO, your academic affairs person, fundraising person, then your chief of staff. I mean, some people you have to make sure that some people are there that will take care of the things that need to be taken care of and will have your back in time.
That's right. Have your back. So, of course, the Sarons are like coming in, like they're just zooming in now. But one of the questions is from Sora Josetta Jones, who I know a little bit. A question: what advice can you give us about time management, and what are your daily reads?
Well, I am not the best time manager. I just have so much to get done. I have to squeeze it in. So what I do, I get up so early, and if I manage time better, I could probably sleep till 6 a.m. Not to get before 4:30, But I spend so much time during the day having a good time, laughing, calling people, checking on them. If somebody's sick, call their parents or of students. So if I can cut out some of that, I could probably manage a little better. But the part of me that wants to make sure everything is going okay, it makes me take off sometime during the day and do some things that ordinarily a president wouldn't do. It's almost like being pastor of a church. You have to call all the people, call all the individuals who are sick, call their families. But there's a young man who's pastor of a church here who is in the hospital in and out. So I was trying to go and see him, Reverend Buzz, but I couldn't go and see him because they wouldn't let me. But I talked to just call and check on him, but he's kind of long-winded sometimes. So that's but there are others who are just not doing so. But then from the morning at your 4:45 to get up every day, you have to have 10, 15-minute meditation. You can't start a day and have 2 organizations that depend on you.
You said 4:45, like 4:45 a.m.
Like
4:45 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no.
I have to have moments to listen to my God voice, because in the daytime, therefore competed with my God voice. So early in the morning, it's not. So I can meditate and get my scripture and prayer and be ready. So when those spirit darts of the devil start coming at you, you have something to whip them with. So I just start early. And then, because, the East Coast, I'm in the Central time zone, so they'll start calling. They know I'm up early. So I start getting phone calls. And I won't tell you some of the words my husband will use on it. He's an Omega, so he'll say, I thought that, anyways, let me not go there because he'll get on me too. But I'll tell you, it's an all day long thing. And sometimes I forget to eat. And they'll bring me food. And I say, what time is it? They say it's 2:00. Oh my God, I haven't had lunch. Or miss a meal. But if anything goes, unfortunately, it's sleep. I don't recommend it to people, but sleep is the compromise here. So I'm in bed about midnight. So I've managed 4 hours. But I can do 4. My doctor told me to try to do 7, 6, 7, 8. I said, I can't give you that much. He said, you're not giving to me,
Yes, that work-life balance. That's what Sora Christy is talking about. And also Sora Tanya wants to know, what do you do for fun?
I love to dance. Well, when there was a time we were in a normal setting, we just go out with friends and have fun. But now I just sit in front of Zoom or Teams or something all day long. But we find a way to just relax and watch TV, just watch old movies with my husband. We'll sit around and do that because the children are grown. So, you got empty nest. So you just find things to do that will keep each other happy. That's what we do. We'll sit around and we'll watch old movies, listen to music.
Okay. And my last question, before we close out, I know you got to go, but what do you want your legacy to be? Like, what do you want your legacy to be? Or how do you want people to talk about you?
Well, she had just a thirst for education, and she made sure that others had to aspire to be educated. And they wanted to do at any cost to keep climbing that ladder higher and higher. And I want everybody to know you have to have a plan to be successful. It just doesn't happen. You're not lucky. You have to just do what it takes. Like Kamala Harris says, do the work. So I think the work is have a plan. Was it a 1 year plan? Was it a 3 year plan? Then a 5 year plan, and start planning your life. So what do you want to do next year? Or what do you want to do 2 years from now? Or 3 or 4 or 5? And try to stick to it. Do some check marks. Tick it off. I said I was going to do this, but I didn't make it. I'll shift this to next year, but I still want to do it. Like, so it's something. The plan, you can't beat a strategic plan for your life. I tell people
Mm-hmm.
I'm vice president of academic affairs in my life. I'm vice president of strategic affairs, strategic planning in my life. I'm vice president of communications in my life. So your life is compartmentalized into various sectors as if you were a corporation. Your life is a corporation, and you just live in each one of them.
Yes. So is there anything I didn't ask you before we conclude this interview?
Oh, well, this has been great. I think you covered everything.
A whole lot.
didn't
I
expect
told you
to
we get
cover.
it in. We get it in. Well, someone said, and I'm just gonna read you some of the comments on the thread so you can get your flowers now. Someone said phenomenal. That's how I would definitely describe you. That's Kay Sears Harrison. Sora Josetta says, I love it. You show compassion and care for all, embodying service to all mankind. Sora Stephanie is like, yes, daily meditation. Annette Phillips says, dancing is great for your health. Sora Christie, Kaylin, is like, HBCUs are the cornerstone of our society.
Exactly.
Darlene Weaver says, it's so wonderful to see these beautiful Black women working in our communities of HBCUs. I love it. And shout out to my HBCU, Tennessee State University.
Weaver.
Right. And it's like, do the work. And then I'm going to leave on this. Bravo, Dr. Burton and Dr. Glover. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a great conversation. Once you have like less than 2 whole people jobs, like whole team jobs, I'm gonna bring you back on and we're gonna talk. I will. We're gonna bring you back and we're gonna talk to you because I just want to know so much more about you as a person, and yeah, definitely. But thank you for joining us today. Remember, support your HBCUs, wear masks, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and stay up. Don't let these people get you down. We Black people, we're gonna be okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Glover.
Thank you.